Hey, what are you doing? Why are you just standing there?
I'm not just standing here, I'm thinking about things.
What kind of things?
Well, we're almost at 100 episodes, and I want to do something special.
Well, if you're just thinking, then why am I here? I can't interrupt/annoy you if you're just thinking.
So, anyway, I figured that today we could talk about comments. And by that, I mean the comments that you can add to projects by right clicking. Comments are attached to code blocks and are a way for the person who is making the project to remember stuff, or to leave notes for a project that's being remixed. But writing comments in your own project takes time, and some people see them as useless. So today I'm going to explain why, if you're going to ever go back to a project, you should put comments in it. If you're like me, and you start another project after finishing the old one, you do something completely different, code-wise, than the last one. So if you ever want to go back to work or finish on another project after you started one, you might say, I don't remember how to do this anymore. The higher the chance you'll go back on a project, the prettier the code should be. For example, I will almost never go back and change a rant, so the code's pretty ugly. The broadcast sent to each of the two characters so that they can switch talking is literally just a random string of letters. And that's because it doesn't need to be anything else, because who would look inside one of these projects? This obviously would not be good for a project that people are supposed to remix, because then, when they remix the project and look inside, all they're going to see is a bunch of nonsense that doesn't make sense to them or you. Having broadcasts and variables with actual words in them can help, but the most helpful thing are comments. Having the first thing that you see when you open a project be a comment with a list of things on how the project works can be calming to the person, knowing that they won't have to figure everything out for themselves.
So you're saying that the point of comments is to help other people with remixing? Isn't remixing bad?
In my opinion, no. There are some people who don't like getting remixed, and you shouldn't remix them if they don't like it, but I find that remixing provides a layer of protection, especially if the person keeps a copy of the unaltered remix. That way, if the original project gets somehow corrupted or deleted, then you have a backup on another person's profile, and all you have to do is ask them. Not to mention, in my opinion, remixing is the highest honor of user activity on a project, besides commenting, because with a love or favorite, you just click a button, but with a remix, you actually have to put some commitment in, meaning that that person actually found your project very intriguing. I wish that there were project comments for other things, like recording sounds. Like you could put a comment in the middle of a recording saying, move this part somewhere else, or in sprites and costumes. So you can leave notes for yourself there, although you could just use the text tool. So that would be kind of pointless. Yeah, I like this, when we can just have a conversation, and you aren't constantly interrupting me with ridiculous nonsense.
Oh, right. Silly me. I knew there was something I forgot to do today.
Oh, well, too bad for you, because you can't interrupt me if the rant's already over. This has been Billy Nutch's Rant, and I hope you enjoyed. I give so much attention to the Explore tab on Scratch, and that's because it's really the main one, but today I thought we'd talk about the others. One spot to the left of Explore is Create, which, when you click it, automatically creates a new project. Very useful, I guess, if you don't feel like clicking the actual Create Project button. Two spots to the right of Explorer is About, which gives you general information on what Scratch is, how it teaches people, and its use in schools across the world. I like the look of this section. It has very nice graphics, but not very useful because by the time you're looking at it, you probably already have an account. But now, the interesting one is one to the right of Explore, which is Ideas. Ideas has many different categories in it, such as choose a tutorial, try a tutorial, here are some tutorials, and of course, the classic download tutorials. And then there's starter projects, which are basically just tutorials that don't have pop-ups. Although to give the ideas section some credit, the image next to starter project is a really simplified version of the Scratch interface, which I think is just adorable. Look at it, it's so tiny. Now, I know what you might be thinking, Billy, what is download tutorials? And, well, here's what it is. When you click that, it brings you to a 208-page guide on Scratch that you can print out. A, who would print out 208 pages on Scratch? B, why does this exist? And C, who took the time to write this? People are talking about underrated Scratchers all the time and how they should get more attention, but no. Forget all those people. Whoever wrote this 208-page guide on Scratch tutorials definitely needs more attention. This person is incredible. 208. Obviously, I haven't read the whole thing, but 208. If someone asked me to write a guide on Scratch, I could barely make it 10 pages, let alone 208. And what makes it better, while some of the tutorials are just that, the same tutorials as on Scratch, some of them are actually kind of relevant, like creating a mouse trail. Do you know how many projects use mouse trails? Like, thousands. So, answer me this. Why don't I just take this 208-page document, split it up, and add it to the tutorial section? That would make the tutorial section a lot more valuable, because then there'd be some actually useful tutorials in it. I mean, holy cow, page 193 is about video sensing extension. I don't even know how to use the video sensing extension. Although, after reading this, I now know how to use the video sensing extension. So yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised. I did not expect that this 208 Scratch tutorial would be good. But it is pretty good. You know, except for the parts where it isn't pretty good. Yeah, I didn't expect that create, ideas, and about would actually have a purpose. I thought that they'd be just another useless feature on Scratch, but turns out that most of them are pretty useful. Except for create, which is pretty redundant because most people just create projects from the My Stuff page. But add in the fact that Explore tab is also on the Scratch toolbar, and it's actually a pretty good feature. What? Impossible. A feature on Scratch that actually accomplishes what it's supposed to do? That's ridiculous. And this has been Billy Nutch's Rant, and I hope you enjoyed. Users are the most important thing on Scratch. If no one used Scratch, then no one would know about Scratch, obviously. The first thing you'll see when you click on someone's profile is their profile. The profile is split into multiple sections. About me, what I'm doing, featured project, and then what they've been doing, their activity. I've already talked about activity in a previous rant, I don't remember which one, but the other sections are just as important, such as the featured project. Is your project not getting featured on the front page for some reason? Well, take that into your own hands and just feature it on your profile. Featuring a project is a good way to get it one of the most popular projects on your profile, because it's the first thing people will see, and if it's interesting enough, then they'll be curious enough to play it or watch it. But I think that my favorite part of anyone's profile is the About Me, because you get to learn about the person. See if they share any interests with you, see how long they've been on Scratch, see their accomplishments, like how many times they've been featured, or something. If I had an accomplishments list, I'm sure that the only thing on it would be talking for over 2 hours about features on Scratch. Other things are their likes and dislikes, which are things that they allow in their profile and things that they don't. Among these are usually advertising and follow for follow. My Scratch friend Lena recently posted a project on her profile about people not reading the About Me section where it says that she doesn't do F for F, and people ask about that. Because of course they do. So obviously this rant is inspired by her project. Go check her out in the notes and credits. Anyways, another part of the profile is the What I'm Working On section, which is obviously where people can put what they're working on. Although not many people do that. They mostly just use that as an extension of the About Me section, which is perfectly fine. But I know there are still some people who are too lazy to read the About Me section, and by extension the What I'm Working On, because they're basically the same thing. But spoiler alert, most people find the same things annoying and the same things flattering. So here's a list of things that most people like and most people dislike. If you're not sure if someone minds something in the most people dislike category, then you should probably ask them first before partaking in such an action. Anyway, that's just something that I wanted to put out there, and this is the end of the rant. Thank you, Soylena Fadia. This has been Billy Mitchell's Rant, and I hope you enjoyed. The Scratch YouTube channel recently uploaded a new video, although I assume you already know that since it's advertised right on the homepage. And I just wanted to say that that little bit of blue that the icon for the new video shows, it really spices up the homepage. I mean, we've been looking at like orange and white this whole time, but that little bit of blue, beautiful. Anyway, so the video is about how to make a character designer game thing. You know what I'm talking about. You know, you click the parts of the thing and it changes to other things. I'm sorry, that was an awful description. Well, it's like if there's a dog and you click its ears, then its ears change, and like you click other parts of it and those parts change, so you can make a different dog. You've probably seen one before. So anyway, the video begins with a Scratch team member called Zoe, and she explains way better than I did what she's talking about. As the video says, and I quote, basically, it's a kind of game where the player can customize their own character of whatever kind. Oh man, the Scratch YouTube video is beating me in terms of explaining stuff. I need to step up my game. But around 5 minutes in, a horrible secret is revealed. This entire time you thought you were watching a normal Scratch tutorial video? No, no, no. You're watching something far more deep. Because the moment she drags a block into the editor, it's apparent that whoever made this video is insane. It's so zoomed in that the single go-to block takes up the entire screen. How do you code like that? I mean, how are you supposed to work on a project where you can only see one block at a time? You'd just be constantly scrolling up and down. And I get that mobile users have to use it like that all the time, zoomed in and stuff, but still, it's better to zoom out and have a few misclicks than zoom in and not be able to see anything. You might as well be coding with a blindfold on. Later into the video, we see that the Scratch sprite library is used. I get why the Scratch team would want to advertise their own creations of the Scratch sprite library, but I still stand by that the Scratch sprite library is bad. It looks bad, and nothing is consistent with each other. Well, actually, it doesn't look bad, it just looks too good. Like, the average person would not be able to replicate the same style, thus making the sprite stick out like a sore thumb. So that concludes my overview of the Scratch tutorial video, and oh no, we're already 16 recordings in. I guess this is going to be a long one, since I still have more I want to talk about. The Scratch Wiki. Like most wikis, it is a website with information on the thing that it's about, which in this case is Scratch. The Scratch Wiki is also another thing advertised in the Scratch News category, which is why I'm talking about it alongside the Scratch tutorial thingy. The Scratch Wiki is an in-depth guide on every code block in Scratch, as well as some less important stuff. I like the Scratch Wiki because it shows things that you wouldn't usually think of, like workarounds for individual Scratch blocks, so you can combine some blocks to have the same effect as one other block, which is almost completely pointless, but I'm glad it exists, because it's awesome. So I think that in memorial to my first ever rant, we should see what the Scratch Wiki has to say about the sound editor. Alright, so it says, features. There are 9 tools at the bottom: faster, slower, louder, softer, mute, fade in, fade out, reverse, and robot. Each tool has its own effects and can be used together to make spectacular sound effects. These tools edit the sound, but do not add any effects. Prior to Scratch 3.0, they were in a dropdown called Edit. Name. This is a round text box that changes the name of the sound to be displayed in the sound list. Undo. This undoes the last action. Redo. This redoes the last undone action. Copy. This copies the selected part of the sound or the entire sound if nothing is selected. No. Oh right, I almost forgot. Wikis are boring. The whole point of a wiki is to be a large encyclopedia about a topic that sounds like it was written by the same person, so there are very strict guidelines on editing a page. Unfortunately, this removes any character to the pages and just makes them sound like they were written by a robot. Faster. This makes a sound go faster, therefore making any notes higher. Beep boop bop, I am a robot. Vrr. Now that sarcastic statement might make it sound like I hate wikis, but I don't. Half the things I learned about Minecraft were from the Minecraft wiki, and the Scratch wiki helps me a lot on projects, but wiki reading is not the most exhilarating experience, let's just say that. Anyway, this has been Billy Nutch's Rant, and I hope you enjoyed. Oh hi, it's been a while, hasn't it? Now you're probably wondering why I haven't made a rant in 2 days. Now I could come up with an excuse, or, you know what, whatever. Here's my excuse: construction. It's kinda hard to record a rant over the sound of power drills and hammers. Anyway, today's topic is wasted space. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but in my opinion, I feel that Scratch's menus, like the Explore tab and the homepage, are quite claustrophobic. I mean, open up the homepage right now and look to the left and right. Look at all that wasted emptiness. It's just white void. Imagine a world where those 2 white bars didn't exist, and we could see more than 5 projects at once. Wouldn't that be cool? To be able to actually explore on the Explore tab. If the white bars didn't exist, then the What's Happening section could be doubled in size, doubling its usefulness. Then it would actually be a viable feature, because its current capacity now is laughable, to say the least. If the white bars weren't there, then the featured projects bar thing could be doubled in size, thus meaning that if a person's project gets featured, then they'll get the benefits for twice as long, because it won't be overwritten by another one quite so quickly. So yeah, after saying all that, you probably think the white bars are evil, and that if they didn't exist, the world would be a whole lot better. Well, they kind of have a reason to exist. Your job to determine if it's a viable reason or not. The reason that the white bars exist is mobile mode. Ugh. You know, Scratch on a mobile device, where most of the projects don't work because most projects require a keyboard, and you can really only watch animations. So what's the purpose of the white bars? Well, the answer is to, and I'm not entirely sure if this is true, but this is what I believe. I think that the white bars are there so that mobile users will have a sort of guidelines for what they can and can't click on, because if the white bars weren't there, then the screen would be a lot wider, which means that it would have to be compressed on a mobile screen. So the solution to avoid compression is just to make everything smaller and put 2 white bars on the side, making what you can click on even smaller, which How does that help you on an already small mobile device? Wait a minute, how does that help anyone at all? That doesn't make any sense. Making the screen smaller on a smaller screen so that it isn't compressed? You're compressing the thing that's already small to make it less compressed? What sense are you making, Scratch? And if those white bars are somehow useful on mobile for a reason that I'm not seeing, then why not remove them on computer versions? Because they're kind of holding back, you know? I mean, the what's happening section would be a whole lot useful if we could see more than 5 things at once. It'd be a lot more efficient to fill the white bars in the Explore tab with more projects so that we can see more than a couple at once. In conclusion, are the white bars just as bad as the robot effect or the doom square? I don't know, probably not. You really only notice the white bars if you're paying attention. Otherwise, you can just scroll through stuff like normal, just without being able to see much. Anyway, this has been Billy Netch's Rant, and I hope you enjoyed. If you ask someone to name a problem with Scratch, one of the things they'll probably say, quickly, is fame-hungry people. Which is sort of an aggressive term, actually, so let's just call them confused. Because what those people know is that Scratch isn't about getting followers, it's all about yourself. Wait a minute, that sounds a bit wrong. It's also not true, so let's rephrase that. So let's say you're trying really hard to get followers, but you still don't have any, after a long time of attempting to get them. What I'm trying to say is, give up. Wait, that also sounds aggressive. What I mean by that is stop trying to make stuff to get your followers. Instead, just make stuff for yourself that you like. Unless what you do like is getting followers. Wait, that doesn't solve any problems at all. Dang it, who knew that one of the most controversial topics on Scratch would be more difficult to decipher than just do this? On second thought, I should have saved this for a segment on the 100th episode, where I'd have more time to go more in depth. Because we're already halfway through our time together, and all I've done is correct myself multiple times. So, alright, so here's what I'm trying to say. If Scratch isn't working well for you in terms of getting followers, then just do what you like. Whether that's making more projects to try to get more followers, even though that's not working, stay determined, I guess, or you could just make stuff that you find fun and hope that someone else finds it fun, and then they'll be your friend. Because there's not really a surefire way to get more followers. Scratch is a game of chance, because of the fact that there is no suggestions, like on YouTube, or recommended. So if you're not getting any followers, don't blame yourself. Blame the fact that Scratch is flawed, to say the least. Slightly. Just a little bit. You know, it's not so flawed that someone would require 95 episodes to cover it, right? Scratch that. Not 95. Over 100, definitely so far. Because of the fact that some rants were unnumbered, because they had a separate theme. But back to what I was saying, don't feel too bad about yourself if you don't have any followers, because it is all about luck. Some people get on the Explore tab their first few weeks, while others go 4 or 5 years with no activity. And with that being laid out on the already large table, be sure to stick around for the 100th episode party, because it's going to be fun. But that's later. Who cares about later? As for right now, this has been Billy Netch's Rant, and I hope you enjoyed. 100 episodes is just a few days away. I'm so excited. Are you excited? Amazing. Anyway, something else that's amazing that's happening is Scratch Week. Scratch Week is a week celebrating the creation/birthday of Scratch. So in celebration of Scratch Week, today we're doing a positive rant on Scratch's behalf. One nice thing I can say about Scratch is the color and the design. Everything looks very nice. The colors are very saturated, but at the same time muted. So it's like the blue looks like the sky, and the pink, it just looks tasty, I guess. It looks like a very appetizing color of pink. Another nice thing about Scratch is that since it's a global thing, there is a whole bunch of different language options, which can be accessed in the top left of the editor or at the bottom of the homepage.
Oh yeah? If Scratch is so inclusive, then how come it doesn't have any languages from other planets?
That's because I said global, not galactic, dummy. Plus, I'm pretty sure that other planets don't even get the internet.
Well, that might be true, but if Scratch is such a perfect website, then how come it doesn't have, satellites?
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And also, I don't think Scratch is a perfect website. What do you think I've been talking about this entire time?
Not sure. Never really cared enough to find out.
Can you please leave? This is supposed to be about Scratch, not you. Oh, wow, that actually worked. Anyway, another cool thing about Scratch is the fact that they fix things that are annoying. For example, you used to not be able to drag code blocks to other sprites if there were too many sprites. But since then, that was fixed. And of course, the thing I like most about Scratch is how fun it is. It's fun for the person making the project and the person watching the project, or the person playing the project, or the person listening to the project. Projects can be a lot of things. I have a bunch of other things I like about Scratch, but I'm pretty sure I already talked about them before in other positive rants. So, have a wonderful Scratch week. This has been Billy Nutt's Rant. I hope you enjoyed. Want to know what's the worst part about generic platformers? It's not that they're boring, or that they're samey, which they are. It's that they single-handedly ruined an entire game genre on Scratch. Seriously, sometimes when I play good platformers, which I'm not really sure what that qualifies as, but a platformer on Scratch that has effort into it, I just think, hey, this is kind of like the million other games that I've played. It's better than a generic platformer because it has better graphics and or controls, but it's pretty much just the same thing. Now, am I saying that if every platformer had better graphics and controls, then they wouldn't be a problem? No, because everyone's main problem with platformers is how many there are, not how good quality they are. And of course, that's just my opinion. I'm not a huge fan of the platformer genre in actual video games. I mean, I enjoyed Super Meat Boy, but that's mostly just because of the controls, which I'm not sure are possible to replicate on Scratch. But if you know anyone who has made Meat Boy smooth controls, then please tell me. Which brings up the point that controls and gameplay are always more important than graphics. Unless the game that you're making is an art gallery simulator, in which case the graphics are probably more important. Because, as people always say for some reason, art is subjective. One person could look at an art and say, that's a good art, while another person could look at the same thing and say, I don't like the art. That's not a good art. What more people agree on, however, is the quality of a game's gameplay. If one person picks up a game and says, yep, this is a pretty terrible game, then another person will probably say the same thing. Although the second person's opinion could have been influenced by the first. So let's say that the two people are in separate rooms when evaluating the quality of the game, obviously with some sort of sound barrier to prevent tainted opinions. When did I start talking about influencing other people's opinions? I'm supposed to be talking about generic platformers. Or at least I think I was talking about generic platformers. I might have also been talking about art versus gameplay. Or both. You know what? Let's simplify things. Generic platformer bad. Haha. This has been Billy Nutt's Rant, and I hope you enjoyed. Alright, it's almost the big day. Do you have everything ready? Which would be microphones, lights, time schedule, clothes, and a guest list. You forgot the guest list, didn't you? Well, it's kind of hard to throw a party if you don't know who's coming. Don't worry though, there haven't been many people on the show anyway, so it shouldn't be that hard to remember them all. Yeah, there's me, you, me, you, and Don. This shouldn't be that hard. Just relax and me, you. Ugh, rats. This is too intense. I wish someone would come along and jog my memory a little.
Hey guys, what's up?
Ah, perfect. Tenerbot, just the person I'm looking for. Can you remember everyone who's been on the show so we can invite them to the party?
Yeah, me, you, and her.
Yes, I'm pretty sure we have those three down now. I'm talking about the other people.
Others irrelevant. Tenerbot rules.
Why did I think that you were going to be helpful? It's never happened before, and I doubt it'll happen anytime soon.
Alright, fine. The others are that dog with the blue hat, the skunk with the lab coat, that octopus robot thing, and the monkey with the hat. And I, the best of them all.
I don't think that's correct. I don't remember meeting a skunk.
You didn't meet him, Jelly did.
Is that true? Oh, so I guess I just missed out on things. Thanks, Tenerbot, for your help. Or at least I think it was help.
You're welcome. Better get those invitations sent.
You're right, I have quite a few, and not much time to do it.
I was talking about sending them to me.
Yeah, of course you were. Actually, could you lend me a hand and go inform some people about the party?
Nah.
Oh no, where are you going? Come back. Based off how things are going so far, this is going to be a fun party.